The ground rumbled beneath my boots as I stared out across the once empty prairie. Now, 98 luxury homes dotted the land like roaches after rain. My land. My name on every deed. And there she was, Karen Hollowell, HOA president, smiling like she owned it all. I walked past the Velvet Hollowell Estates sign, painted gold. A guard stopped me. "Residents only, sir." I handed him my ID. "This whole development is sitting on my property." He laughed until he saw the county seal stamped on my land certificate. Before we continue, please drop a like and comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Australia, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. His face turned white. Weeks earlier, I'd gone on a business trip to Utah. I came back to a city of rooftops built in my absence. Karen used forged land sale documents. Claimed she'd bought the mineral rights too. And the county? They never verified a thing, until now. I tried to warn her. Sent legal notices. She shredded them on Facebook Live. "He's bluffing," she told her board. "That rancher doesn't even live here anymore." She should have read the fine print on my land title. I never sold it. Not an inch. Then came the day I parked my truck in the center of the new playground. Karen stormed up in heels too tight for walking. "You're trespassing." I laughed. "You're squatting." She didn't blink. "Then sue me." "Oh, Karen." I wasn't going to sue her. I had something better. I went to county records with my grandfather's original map, signed in 1964, and notarized every year since. They compared it to Karen's submitted development plan. And that's when the zoning officer's face dropped. "These homes, they're not supposed to be here." I didn't shout. I didn't celebrate. I just whispered, "Time to clean house." And I meant it. Every last roof. Every last lie. But Karen had her claws deep. HOA lawyers. Political connections. Dirty money. If I wanted justice, I'd need more than proof. I'd need a plan. And I had one. But first, I needed to meet the people living in those homes. The ones paying HOA fees to a woman who built on stolen land. The ones who didn't know the ground under their feet wasn't hers. It was mine. All of it. So I knocked on the first door. A young couple answered. Confused. Afraid. "Hi, I'm Silas Maddox, the owner of this land." The husband blinked. "What do you mean?" I smiled. "Let's talk. Before your foundation turns to dust." Because Karen's empire was about to collapse. And I'd be the one pulling every single brick loose. The young couple invited me in, nervously eyeing each other. "We bought this from West Hollow Builders," the wife said, clutching her mug. I handed them my land deed. Their eyes widened. "So, we don't own the land?" I nodded slowly. "You bought a house on ground I never sold." Word spread fast. I met families, retirees, single moms, all lied to. Most had paid HOA fees for months. Some were fined for parking wrong. One woman had been threatened for planting flowers without permission. "We trusted her," she whispered. She said it was a safe neighborhood. I said nothing. Just listened. That night, I parked my truck outside the HOA meeting. Karen stood at the podium like a queen. "He's just bitter," she barked, pointing at me, trying to stir up drama. I stepped forward, calmly handing every board member certified property documents. "This is your wake-up call," I said. Karen laughed it off. "He's bluffing. He abandoned this land 10 years ago." The face turned steady. "My name's still on the tax bills. Paid every year." Her smirk twitched. The room quieted. I saw it happen, the seed of doubt planted in the minds of her loyal residents. But Karen wasn't done. That night, I found my fences cut. My barn spray painted with the word, "liar." My cattle spooked and missing. I didn't call the sheriff. I installed trail cams instead. I needed evidence. The kind that spoke louder than rumors. The kind that put people behind bars. The next morning, I visited my old friend, Judge Timothy Kellerman. He knew my father, respected our legacy. When I laid out the forged zoning permits and mismatched coordinates, his jaw clenched. "This isn't just fraud," he said. "This is federal." That's when I told him, "I want everything exposed." Karen didn't expect I'd go this far. She thought I'd be too tired, too country, too alone to fight back. But I wasn't alone anymore. The people she lied to? They were starting to turn. And the louder she screamed, the more they listened to me. Because when your empire's built on lies, even a whisper of truth sounds like thunder. 2 nights later, I found a construction crew digging near my old well. No permits. No lights. Just men with machines. "Who sent you?" I asked. One man shrugged. "Karen. Said it's hers now." I showed them my land title. "Not according to this." They packed up. Karen was testing me. She filed a counterclaim at the county office, claiming adverse possession. Said I'd abandoned the land. Her documents looked official, but I knew better. Forged signatures, altered survey maps. Sloppy. Desperate. My lawyer, Margot Linney, scanned each one and smirked. "She's toast," she said. "Let's light the match." I started holding town meetings at the local rec center. Not everyone came. Some were scared. Some were loyal to Karen. But each time, more chairs filled. I brought copies of my deeds. Shared timelines. Played the trail cam videos of her contractors trespassing and vandalizing. People gasped. One man stood up. "Karen said you were a scammer. That we'd lose our homes if we sided with you." I nodded. "She's half right. You will lose your homes, if she stays in charge." Murmurs spread. Fear thick in the air. But underneath it? A spark I intended to fan. Karen retaliated by sending a cease and desist to my mailbox. Then she tried freezing my bank accounts, claiming I owed her HOA dues. I laughed. Let her try to bill me for land she doesn't own. My attorney filed a motion to halt HOA operations entirely, pending fraud investigation. That week, code inspectors arrived. Turns out, Karen bypassed more than just ownership laws. Gas lines weren't to code. Fire hydrants not functional. One inspector whispered, "This whole development's a tragedy waiting to happen." And suddenly I wasn't the threat. Karen was. I walked to the tallest cul-de-sac at sunset. Watched porch lights blink on like fireflies. Kids laughed. Dogs barked. I remembered running through these same woods at 10. Now they were paved. Gated. Falsely claimed. But not for long. My roots were deeper than any concrete she poured. I wasn't just reclaiming land. I was reclaiming legacy. Karen's voice cracked as she faced reporters. "This is a smear campaign," she barked. But the evidence was damning. One of her board members resigned, citing moral conflict. Another leaked internal HOA emails. Fines invented. Rules changed overnight. They weren't protecting the community, they were milking it. I hired a drone videographer. Captured sweeping shots of the property, overlaid with original plat maps proving my ownership. Posted it online. Within 48 hours it had 200,000 views. News crews followed. Local rancher fights back against corrupt HOA. My face was on TV. Karen's lies had a spotlight now. At the next HOA meeting, only half the residents showed. Many wore t-shirts that read, "Maddox Ranch Stands." Karen's eyes darted. Her voice shrill. "He's stealing your homes." But no one clapped. No one cheered. One woman whispered, "He's not stealing. He's saving us." Then came the court summons. My lawsuit, backed by the district attorney, charged Karen with land theft, document fraud, and conspiracy. Her attorney looked shaken. "We're open to a settlement," he offered. I shook my head. "I'm not settling. I'm cleansing." That night, someone slashed my truck tires. Spray painted, "Coward," across my barn. But they also left fingerprints. Sheriff Darnell called me at dawn. "We got him." One of Karen's nephews. The case was getting dirtier by the minute. But now it was also airtight. Judge Kellerman approved an injunction. HOA operations suspended. All development halted. All funds frozen. Karen's accounts were audited. Misused funds. Fake permits. She didn't just build illegally, she built dirty. And the deeper we dug, the uglier it got. The county placed warning signs on every property, under dispute, occupation not guaranteed. Panic rippled through the neighborhood. Some packed. Some cried. But a few? They came to me. If you save our homes, we'll back you. I didn't promise salvation. Just justice. Karen's empire was cracking. And the ground beneath her stilettos was shifting. Karen's Mercedes screeched to a stop outside her gated driveway, only to find a bright orange envelope stuck to her door. Notice of illegal occupation. Signed by Judge Kellerman. Sheriff Darnell stood behind her. You have 72 hours to vacate the property. Her mouth dropped. This is my house. I stepped forward from the sidewalk. No, Karen. This was my grandfather's apple orchard. You bulldozed it. Built a lie on it. And now, you're going to answer for every nail, every dollar, every life you've upended. She screamed. I'll ruin you. I said calmly, you already tried. Residents poured into the street, watching the scene unfold. A few filmed. Others held their children close. Karen looked around for support. Found none. You all live here because of me, she shouted. One man yelled back. Oh, we live here despite you. The crowd murmured in agreement. I spent the next morning walking door to door. You'll have options, I told them. I'm working with legal aid and housing recovery groups. I'm not the villain here. But I won't let a con artist steal from my family's legacy. Most listened. Some hugged me. Others cried in guilt. Karen refused to leave. Hired armed security. Boarded up her doors. It didn't matter. She couldn't change the law. County officials came in person. Disconnected her power. Her water. Her bluff finally ran dry. Still, she hissed through the screen door, this isn't over. But it was. For her. I found out later she drained the HOA account in the last 24 hours. Wired it to an offshore bank. But too late, federal marshals had been watching. She was arrested at a private airport 2 days later. Fraud, embezzlement, land theft. That's when the real floodgates opened. A class action suit formed against her company. Former residents turned plaintiffs. Builders confessed. Inspectors came forward. One even admitted Karen bribed him with a lake house. Every secret she buried came screaming out. She hadn't just built 98 homes, she'd built 98 ticking legal time bombs. And they were finally exploding. After Karen's arrest, a wealthy developer named Brant Sturgis knocked on my cabin door. You've got something valuable here, Maddox, he said, eyes gleaming. I'll buy the entire lot. Wipe the debt clean for those families. I'll rebuild it legit. I folded my arms. You're just another vulture. But he wasn't wrong. The land had value. The homes, although illegally built, were solid. And the families were stuck, afraid of losing everything. I invited 3 neighborhood reps to my ranch. We talked for hours. They cried. I listened. One said, we just want to feel safe again. So I drafted a plan. I'd create a legal development corporation, call it Maddox Acres. I'd retain 51% ownership. Residents would own their homes fairly. No HOA, just neighborly governance. No random fines. No flower bans. Just dignity. They voted. And 84 out of 98 said yes. Brant called again. You sure you want to do this the hard way? I replied, you sure you want to keep wasting your time? I clicked off. The land was mine. The power was mine. And this time, the people deserved to have some of it too. The county offered me a historical preservation grant for restoring the oldest parts of the orchard. I took it. Turned the old barn into a welcome center. Brought back the trees. Let kids plant saplings. Residents began volunteering. The land started healing, along with the people who lived on it. But there were holdouts. For families refused my offer. We liked Karen, one said. At least she was firm. I nodded. And illegal. Their deeds were revoked by court order, but they stayed, fighting tooth and nail. It wasn't about fairness, it was about control. Still, I moved forward. We began phase 1 of the cleanup. Tearing down unsafe structures. Fixing sidewalks. installing real fire hydrants. The land, once scarred by greed, was turning into something whole again. And every hammer swing was a message: the past is over. This land has a new heartbeat. And it beats in my name. A week later, I walked out to find the rec center windows shattered. "Traitor," scrawled in red spray paint. Security footage revealed one of the holdout families, Mrs. Lancer. A woman who once sat proudly at Karen's side. Her son had even helped forge documents. And they weren't done yet. Fires started appearing in trash bins. Bolts loosened on playground swings. One volunteer's tires slashed. I called a community meeting. "We can't rebuild with rot in our roots," I said. People nodded. Angry. Tired. A young girl raised her hand. "What happens if they don't stop?" I answered. "Then we dig deeper." I handed all evidence to Sheriff Darnell. He shook his head. "Some folks only know how to follow bad leaders. They think pain makes them powerful." He arrested Mrs. Lancer's son the next day. Vandalism. Trespassing. Her family packed up quietly and left by morning. No goodbye. I tightened security. But I also did something else. I knocked on every remaining holdout's door. "You can still join us," I said. "No fees. Just fairness." Some shut the door. But two listened. One even cried. "I miss feeling like this was home." I smiled. "Then help us make it one." The rebuild surged forward. New streetlights. A farmer's market every Friday. Kids playing again, laughing like nothing ever broke here. I stood under the old pecan tree and felt something I hadn't in years: peace. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because Karen was back. She'd made bail. Karen showed up in a gray blazer, darker eyes, and a camera crew. "I was framed," she declared to the news. "Silas Maddox stole my dream." The residents watched from porches, stunned. One child whispered, "Is she really back?" I stood at the fence line, arms crossed, silent as stone. Her lawyer filed an injunction, claiming her arrest was unlawful, her development stolen. But her case had holes wider than Texas highways. The judge denied her appeal. Still, her words lit up gossip pages. She even started a podcast, Hollowell Truths. Problem was, no one believed her anymore, not even herself. She staged a rally outside the Maddox Welcome Center. 5 people showed up. 2 were her cousins. She yelled into a megaphone, "This land was mine in spirit." I turned on the irrigation system. Water sprayed her designer heels. The small crowd scattered. She screamed, but her power was gone. Karen wasn't here to reclaim land. She was here to destroy hope. To remind people of fear. I wouldn't let that happen. I filed a restraining order. The judge granted it. 100 feet from me. 50 from the center. Her radius of destruction shrank like her influence, day by day. But then, someone tried to burn down the barn. Fire alarms blared. We stopped it in time. Cameras caught a man in a hoodie. Karen's boyfriend, some ex-developer out of Tulsa. Arson, trespassing, breaking restraining orders. This time, even her podcast followers vanished. The county labeled her a public menace. Still, I couldn't rest. The rebuild was unfinished. The wounds were still tender. I called another town meeting. "We can't build on ash," I said. "But we can build from it." That night, every porch light blinked in unison. A quiet symbol. We were still standing. Karen wasn't. With Karen gone for good, we returned to rebuilding. Bricks. Fences. Residents volunteered daily. We renamed the streets. No more Hollowell Lane. Now it was Founder's Way and Legacy Loop. We created something no HOA ever could: real community, rooted in story, not control. The land began to feel like home. A local newspaper wrote a feature, "From Stolen to Sacred, How a Rancher Reclaimed History." I smiled at the headline, not for me, but for my grandfather. He always said, "The land remembers who honors it." And now, every footstep here carried that memory forward. We created a council, not a board. No president. No titles. Just neighbors. We made decisions together. Laughed together. Argued respectfully. Without Karen's rules, The place bloomed. Kids painted murals. Teens started garden clubs. Retirees led history walks. One neighbor told me, "You gave us more than land, you gave us each other." I visited the cemetery where my family was buried. Brought wildflowers. Told them we'd made it right. Told them the orchard's returning. Told them the fight was worth it. A hawk flew overhead. Maybe it meant nothing. Maybe it meant everything. I stood there for a long time. Then I saw it. One of the children had carved something into the new sign. "Welcome to Maddox Acres, home grows here." I didn't correct it. I let it stay. Because the kid was right. This wasn't just a victory. It was a beginning. Karen would face sentencing soon. Her empire had crumbled. Her name erased from every plaque. Every receipt. Every inch of the land she tried to steal now bore only one truth. Maddox stood tall. And always would. Court day came. Karen wore gray. No makeup. No cameras. No followers. Just silence. The judge read the charges, 22 counts of fraud, conspiracy, and theft. She offered no defense. Just tears. "I only wanted to build something lasting," she whispered. The judge replied, "You did, just not what you expected." She got 12 years. No parole for the first 6. Her assets seized. Homes returned to legal status under Maddox Acres. It was over. Not just the case, but the war for the land. Reporters asked me for a quote. I gave them 6 words. She built on what wasn't hers. Life returned slowly. Peacefully. One morning, I stood by the hilltop where Karen's fake mansion once stood. Now wildflowers grew there. Bees buzzing. A young girl ran barefoot, laughing. I closed my eyes. The land was breathing again. So was I. I built a new house, modest, strong, with wraparound porches and rocking chairs. People came by with pies. Kids helped plant apple trees. Evenings were quiet. Not empty, peaceful. That's when I realized something. This story wasn't about land. It was about belonging. And we'd all earned it. One evening, a neighbor handed me an envelope. Inside, a note. "Thanks for not giving up on us." It was unsigned. Didn't matter. I knew who it was from. A once doubting family who'd finally found their place. That meant more than any court win. More than any land title. Because revenge is sweet, but redemption is richer. And in the end, I didn't just reclaim my land. I reclaimed every inch of what makes a home worth fighting for.